The summer is unfortunately over, but that doesn't mean it is time to hang up your FPV goggles and controller for the winter just yet. It simply means that we are once again starting a new Tiny Whoop season. If you haven't tried flying a Tiny Whoop yet, there has never been a better time for it than now. They're perfect to fly at home, public indoor spaces, or my personal favorite, at your workplace during a lunch break. The vast amount of different builds, sizes, FPV systems available to choose from these days make Tiny Whoops accessible for most pilots and their different gear setups. Compared to a traditional 5-inch drone, Tiny Whoops are more affordable, durable, and capable of setting most of the same tricks you can do with a bigger drone, just on a much smaller scale, of course. They also help me with long winter breaks of not chasing drift cars. I can simply chase RC drifting at a local RC drift club. Two of the latest releases of 65mm whoops are the Mobula6 2024 and BetaFPV AIR65. Both of these drones have done some significant improvements over the older generation that I've been dying to try for myself, as well as compare them both to see if I prefer any one of them more than the other. At first glance, both whoops look fairly similar. Both the Mobula6 and AIR65 have clearly improved the frame design, making it lighter with thinner edges. It is difficult to tell if any of these have chosen any different types of plastic, but both feel equally durable, and so far I have not noticed any of them being more fragile than the other. Yet from my experience so far, they seem to take a hit better than the previous generation frames. I've been busting them for a while now, and they have been holding up very well so far. Both brands chose to use the same type of lightweight camera canopy over the oval-shaped types that have been used before. Overall, both companies seem to be using high-quality materials for their frames, and significantly decrease their weight. Which, by the way, according to each product's manufacturer claim, the AIR65 weighs at 17.1 grams and 17.7 grams for the Mobula6. Both drones come with their own brand new AIO board. I guess the main difference here are that the Mobula6 has a 5-in-1 board, while AIR65 has a 4-in-1 board, with ELRS receiver connected separately, which I find to be a bit strange, as it means extra parts that can break. However, BetaFPV recently also released a new 5-in-1 board that you could upgrade with. What's nice about the AIR65 design choice is that it seems to have taken thoughtful decisions to reduce weight, like a smaller USB connector that requires a special cable. It may result in some pain if you lose or forget it at home, but in the long run, I think weight savings are more important. Mobula6, however, decided to stick with the good old micro USB, which by now would have been nice to have been at least a USB-C upgrade. But they also chose to use plug-and-play motor connectors, while BetaFPV went with soldering motors directly to the board. This also seems like a good weight-saving measure and results in somewhat better motor connection to the AIO, but it can be a bit of an extra trouble for those of us who are not that good with the soldering iron. Mobula6 got a 28,000 kV boost to their 702 motors, while AIR65 is still at 23,000 kV. I'm personally a big fan of high kV motors on whoops, but the ones these drones come with felt sufficient enough due to the weight savings. Cameras on both of these drones have a fairly good and comparable quality. However, I would prefer a wider angle lens, but that too is just a personal preference. Having flown both of these machines side by side for a while, I think both of them are a solid choice. They both perform pretty great, and none have any limits that stop me from setting any specific tricks that I tried. Build-wise, I do love BetaFPV's design choice of making sure to lower the weight as much as possible, making the Whoop high performance capable even with lower kV motors. But I also love Mobula6 for going with a slightly more plug-and-play option with easy-to-switch motor connectors. Its higher kV motors are also a welcome improvement. Unfortunately though, I've been having some trouble with this new AIO failing without even crashing. I may just have been unlucky, but still, I think it's worth mentioning. What also concerned me a bit is that the BetaFPV board gets warm pretty fast. But so far, it did not give me any real trouble besides the annoying OSD warning. But as far as I've heard, they're fixing this issue as of making of this video. In the end, I think both products have done some significant improvements over the last generation. But if I had to choose one, I think I would go with the BetaFPV's AIR65. Mostly because it feels like a more polished and well thought out design with weight reduction, performance, and durability in mind. The drone flies great right out of the box, and it did not really give any surprise technical issues. Overall, I'm excited to start the new Tiny Whoop season, and I'm super happy that this branch of FPV drones is growing with new products and developments. So, if you have not flown a Tiny Whoop yet, give it a try this year and join this fast-growing FPV genre. Don't let winter be an excuse not to keep flying all year long. And if you're starting with the FPV hobby in general, a Tiny Whoop can be a great first drone to learn flying with. This has been TrickyFPV. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.